Let's get started. So good evening, folks. Welcome to Glen Ellyn Library, Microsoft Word 101. I'm your instructor tonight. I'm Bill Dallman. I'm not a librarian. I'm a volunteer, and I've been volunteering at the library for about the past 8 or 9 years, teaching various technology classes, whether they're Microsoft Office related or the first several years, it was just technology 101. So if you have any questions, put them in the chat window, not the Q&A. Beth is our resident librarian who'll be monitoring that for us. All right, Word 101. The thing about all of the Microsoft applications, whether it's Word, whether it's Excel, whether it's PowerPoint, they all basically have the same look and feel. The one thing we don't, the capabilities of Zoom are such that I can't really show you how to open it without shutting this down and reopening it. But basically, if you have Word down your taskbar, you can click it there to open Word. You can also go, a lot of times people have it on their desktop. You can click it there. So we're going to move on, assuming that you can get into Word. And once you're into Word, you see this screen right here, if it's the first time, and this shows a blank document. It'll also show, if you've been working with Word for a while, it'll show all of the recent documents that you're have been working on. So you can simply open one of the ones that you're working on. It also allows you to browse to see a different one that may not have been so recent. But it basically has the past 12 or 15 documents that you've been working on. Okay, so up here, the ribbons, they're fairly similar across the board. Well, we're going to start up here first. So you'll notice that auto save is on. That's a great feature, new feature of the new editions of Word, so you don't have to worry about constantly saving. The one thing is that if it's a write-protected document, then you might not have the ability, and autosave might be turned off. You'll notice up here in the upper left, in which case you will just have to manually click the save, click that button. Another thing you can do, excuse me, I'm a keystroke person, so you can go Control S. You can also see what the keystrokes are just by hovering over what the save is, and you'll see save, parentheses, Control plus S. As it says, it saves the document and refreshes it. I'm going to turn autosave back on. The next thing you'll see, it's grayed out right now, but it is the undo. It can't undo right now because I haven't done anything to make it undo. But if, for example, I started typing here some gibberish and I wanted to undo that, I can go up to the undo, and it undoes that last action that you took. You'll also notice that when I did that, it has a drop down. So if you have a bunch of different things, you can select back to where you were before. A useful feature. The next one is redo. So let's say I wanted to keep that gibberish. So you'll notice I clicked the redo and it put it back in there. But I'm going to get rid of it again. The next one, touch mouse mode. I don't really use that a lot, but I think it's more important to click this little drop-down arrow, and it gives you the entire menu for the quick access toolbar, and you can customize it. So you'll see that we have automatic save on, save, undo, redo. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take off the touch mouse mode, but I am going to add print, preview, and print. That's a very useful one. So there you'll see print, preview, print. The next is what your document is, and you'll see that it has been saved because autosave is on. Continuing over to the upper right, you'll see that it's myself, Bill Dallman, logged in. The next one can be very useful if you like to have more space on your screen. So we're going to click and see what the ribbon display options are. So you can auto hide the ribbon. You can show the tabs. We currently just are showing the tabs, but you can also show the tabs and commands. So if I click on show tabs and commands, then it'll show all the commands that are associated with that given tab. So underneath the home tab, here are all the different commands that are available. Similarly with insert, draw, all the way down the line. They all look pretty much the same. And when you look at them, you're looking at the document. The only one that's slightly different is clicking on File. When you click on File, it goes back to a different screen. And this shows you all the different things that you have, recent documents that you've been working on. I'm going to go back to the home. I'm going to keep the command open for the purposes of this class, but I will tell you that I like to have more real estate when I'm working in a document or an Excel spreadsheet. So I typically keep it in just showing the tabs. But in this case, we're going to show tabs and commands. The next slash is the minimize. And that just brings it down. And I'm going to bring it back up. Oh, and when I brought it back down, you probably couldn't see because I think with Zoom, you can't see unless I'm sharing that specific. The next one allows you to adjust the size of it. So now you'll see it's not maximized. But you can either, to maximize it again, you can either click on that box, that square, or double click anywhere in this blue area. Double click and it'll bring it back to the full maximum size. The next one, as is standard across all the Microsoft applications, is the X for closing. Continuing on down to the lower right, you'll see that you have the ability to zoom in or zoom out. It's currently set for 114. So you can zoom in just by clicking the plus tab. You can zoom back out, clicking the minus tab. You'll see that it does standard increments of 10%. If you want, you can just put your cursor on that slider and you can get different granularity. What you can also do is just click on that number where it says 153% now. It'll open up a dialog box and you can put in a specific percent that you want right there. So we'll go 113% and click OK. These other ones down here, you're pretty much going to be using this one in the print layout view. These are these other views, the read mode. That's more if you're an author, if you're working on a book and you want to see what it looks like in the 2-page book format, that's the read layout view. The next one, if you're working on a document that's going to be in a web page, you can look at the web layout view. But we're going to go back to the print layout view. Focus, that's more of an advanced feature. It just focuses on that. I don't know if you can see that or not with the sharing capabilities, so we're just going to get out of that. Continuing on to the lower left side, you'll see that you have the ability to find proofing errors. But what a lot of people find very useful is, for example, if you're filling out an application, it shows you what the word count is. A lot of times you'll be filling out an application or you'll be filling out a document and it'll say it has 1,000 words max. By clicking on that, you can not only see what the word count is, the page count, but also characters. So and sometimes when you're filling out those applications or forms, it'll also give you a character limit. So the character limit, how is that different from the words? Well, the words are the actual words. The characters are all the spaces in between. The blank spaces, the paragraphs, the periods, the colons, the semicolons, those are all included with the character settings. Then you'll also see finally down here, it says we're on page 1 of 4. The way that you can quickly, there are several ways you can go through a document. You can either, I'm on a touch screen, so I'm just using my fingers to scroll up and down. But you can also just use your arrow keys on your keyboard to go down. You also have the ability to use the slider on the right-hand side, and you can manually bring it to where you want to go. Okay. Okay, margins and indents. So to look at the margins and indents, got to put my glasses on real quick. So to see what the margins and indents are, and if you want to manipulate those, you need to go to the layout view. So the layout view, a lot of times when I'm working on a document, the default settings of the margins are fairly big. Maybe it's 1.25 inches on both the left and the right and the top and the bottom. But you have the ability to change your margins. I guess it's 1 inch, top and bottom, left and right. You can also adjust them. Why would you want to do that? Maybe for looks, or sometimes you're working on a document and let's say it's down to 4 pages, but on the 4th page, and this is not a good example of that, but let's say on the 4th page, it was only this paragraph here. And if that's the only thing on the 4th page, you might want to consider changing the margins so that it can fit into 3 pages. So I did one of my standard changes where I made the margins 1/2 inch top and bottom, 1/2 inch left and right. And as you saw when I did that, it brought it so there's all this area about the Glen Ellen Public Library came up into the 3rd page, and the stuff about the Linda is the only stuff in the 4th page. We're going to go back. We're going to undo what I just did by using the undo button. Again, if you're a keystroke person, you can go Control Z. Come on. There we go. So now we're back to the margins that it was originally subbed up as. Orientation. Typically for a Word document, you're going to be in portrait, but sometimes, especially when you're working in PowerPoint, you're probably going to go landscape. And there might be some times when you're working on a document, maybe it's a sign that you're going to print out, or for whatever reason, you can switch the orientation to landscape. The standard size, 8.5 by 11. But let's say you're working on a legal document, you have the ability to switch to 8.5 by 14. And if you're in some other countries, like I think the European UK standard is typically A4, but here in the US, we typically use 8.5 by 11. We don't have any columns in this, but if you wanted to, you could easily add columns. It's more important when you add the columns to do it as opposed to manipulating a document that you've already done, but rather when you're going to be working on a new document. So for example, if you want to work on a document that has more of a newspaper layout, you can adjust the columns there. A handy feature is putting in page breaks. So a lot of times you might see this and you might say, hey, here's a new topic that we're going to be talking about inserting and editing format pictures. And then it continues on to the next page. Well, maybe you just want this to start a new page. So you put the cursor in front of where you want that page break to occur, and then you go insert page break. So now we've done it. So this is now the beginning of a new page, inserting and editing format pictures. So you have the ability to do that. Again, I'm going to get back to the undo. I'm going to get back to where we originally were. All right. Beth, are there any questions so far?
Nope, nothing so far.
Okay. What are the ribbons and tabs? Now, interesting, this says Word 2013. We probably should upgrade that to Word 2016 or whatever version we're highlighting this as. But basically, the ribbons and tab structures are what we were talking about. These are the various tabs, and this whole thing is called the ribbons. So you can see from up here, this is showing if you want to auto hide the ribbon in its entirety, you click on the auto hide, then nothing is seen. No tabs, no commands. To get back to where we were, you just go up here, you click on that little icon, and you get back to show tabs and commands. Now, this structure provides, as it says, the quick access to all the commands in a logical format. So all of the home commands, Microsoft considers these to be part of the home function, the insert, draw, all the way down the line. And that's the standard format that you're going to see not only in Word, but also in Excel, PowerPoint. The various commands might be different, and some of these tabs might be different, but the basic concept of the ribbons and tabs and commands is the same across. As it says here, the most frequent tabs that you're going to be using are the Home tab. You'll probably use this 90% of the time. You'll probably use Insert 5 to 10% of the time, depending on what type of thing you're working on. And then that page layout view with the margins and the orientations and the columns, again, maybe 5% or so. For the most part, yeah, we're going to be focusing on the home, the insert, and the page layout. One of the big features that you have in the Home tab is adjusting the font type. Not just the type, the size, the color, the alignment, bold, italics, underline. So we're going to demonstrate and show some of that right now. Now this document has already been done, and it's just easier to use this document than it is to me to switch screens, because then I have to stop sharing and open up another one. But I think for our purposes, we can use this. So if we want to change, whenever you want to change the font, the size, the alignment, you first have to highlight what you want to change. So we're going to highlight this. Now you'll notice that when I did that, this dialog box opened up. So it's a very quick dialog box. So you can just easily use this one. You'll also see that when I take the cursor away, It's basically a mini version of what you're going to find up here. Basically the most common commands that you're going to see. It's not all of them. It's a lot of them, the most common ones. So let's show how we can manipulate the font. There are a lot. I was going to say hundreds. There probably is about 100 or so different fonts, maybe more. Yes, probably, that you can use. And just by highlighting one, you're going to see on the side what it looks like. So this is the Neue Hausgrote. Let's check out the Algerian. That's probably a more striking difference that you can see. So there we've changed the font type, changed the size. You click on the next box to the right. All these different sizes you can choose. Now let's say you really like the number 13, but you don't see the number 13. Have no fear, you can make a number 13. 12 is highlighted right here in this box, so just type in 13 and hit enter, and now it is font size 13. Not an easy way, just a different way to manipulate the font size. If you look right next to that 13, there's a capital A with a plus arrow. Increase the font size. So you can just increase it gradually. And the next one is the capital A with a down arrow to decrease font size. So you can decrease the font size in a similar manner. If you want to change the cases on this, now you can see that they're currently all capitals. Well, you can put it in sentence case, so it automatically, when you do sentence case, what does that mean? It means that it makes the beginning of the sentence capital, puts a period at the end. You could make them all lowercase, all uppercase, capitalize each word, or toggle that case. If we go sentence case, let's see what that looks like. You'll notice that with the sentence case, we weren't able to change that, and that's because the Algerian font does not allow that. But if you chose a different one, it'll have that ability. We're going to increase the size so you can see it. So now it's highlighted. We're going to change it so it's all uppercase. Now it's all uppercase. Now it's all lowercase. Now we're going to capitalize each word. Go back to the sentence case. Some people also like to bold, italics, and underline. So that's the next one. Let's do something along the lines of coloring. So it's a black color. So to change the font color, where it has the A with the underline, you highlight that, it says font color. If you click on that, you'll see a wide variety of colors. So let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times 6. So there's 60 right there. Standard colors makes another 10, so 70. But if you want more colors beyond this, click on the more colors, and then it gives you some standard colors that you can choose from, or you can choose a custom color. If you really want to get fancy, you pick a spot right in there that you want, click OK, and that will then be the color of your document. I mean, the color of that font, rather. Some people also like to highlight text. So just clicking on the highlighter next to it. Again, the standard default is yellow, but if you want to change that to a different color, you can put any color that you want, not any, There's 15 colors here, so you can choose one of those 15. If you're a lawyer, or if you like to, if you need to strike out, if you're reviewing a legal document and you're going to send it back to someone and you want to modify the language, you can use the strikeout feature. So there you just struck out that. Well, as long as we're here, let's just show bold, italics, and underlined. Again, we've highlighted this text. We're going to click on bold. It's going to make it bold. I'm going to click on the I for italicize. It's going to italicize. And then we're going to click on the U for underline. So that now is bold, italics, and underlined. Now I'm going to teach you a feature. I'm not sure if we get into here. No, so I'm going to give you an advanced function right now. So let's say you've worked on something and you really like the look and feel, and you just want to replicate that look and feel of that font. Well, you're going to highlight that look and feel that you have. And then you're going to either right click, and again, it'll bring up a mini version of the ribbon of the Home tab with its various commands. And what we're going to find is this little brush here. It's called the Format Painter. You can find the Format Painter here in this format, or you can always go up in the Home tab and you'll see Format Painter. I'm going to click on the Format Painter. You'll notice that my cursor now turns into a paintbrush. So let's go back to this initial one, and we want to bring this back so it looks like this: insert bullets or numbers. So we're simply going to highlight this, and when we release it, it'll now look the same look and feel, the same Calibri 12, all the characteristics that this other line had. So that's a very useful function to have. Another useful function is inserting bullets or numbers. First, I'm going to show you how to manipulate what you currently have, and then I'm going to show you how you can do it yourself. So all of these, we're going to highlight these. Whoops. I'm going to highlight these. These are currently set for bullets, but let's say we don't want bullets. Well, you can go up here to the Home command, Home tab, and you'll see that this one is highlighted, the bullets. We click that drop-down arrow, you'll see that the circular one is identified, is highlighted. If you click on hollow circles, that appears. Squares, that appears. A wide variety of bullet features. Or you might want to use numbers instead. If you want to use numbers, click the little drop down next to it for numbering, and you'll see a wide variety of numbers are shown, whether it's the standard, whether it's Roman, whether it's alpha, small case, lowercase. So you can see, you can manipulate what you want your bullets to look like. Now, a lot of times when you're working on a document, you might want to have subparagraphs on that indent. So all you have to do in this case is hit the Tab key. By hitting the Tab key, it indents the line where I had the cursor. What you also might want to do is you might not like the 1 and then a 0. You might like it more in a format along these lines where it does the subparagraphs. So now you have 1A, 2, and if we wanted to make the 3A as well, tab 3. And if we tabbed this, which is now 3, if we tab that, what do we think it's going to be? We tab it in. B, that is correct. And tab that, and now it's B. All right, but let's get back to the standard bullets that we had previously. So I could do undo a whole bunch of times, or I could highlight these. If I highlight them and just simply hit the bullets with the circles, you'll notice that some of these maintain their indentation. So to get rid of that indentation, put the cursor in front of where you want to re-indent it. You can either do it manually, or you'll see up here, there's a little drop down, there's a command to decrease indent. So I'm going to click the decrease indent, and now it's back to where it was. So we're going to do that same exercise for these other two. And decrease the indent, decrease the indent. All right, let's see. Any questions, comments, concerns? Looks I have the ability to check on it. Okay. Not Excel. Okay. Thank you, John. Okay. Now we're going to go to find, replace, and select functions. So when you're working on a document, let's say it has someone's name in it. Let's say it has, I was going to say Glen Ellen Public Library. Well, oh, here it is, Glen Ellen. So it's down there, but you don't know exactly where it is. So if you want to find where a specific word is, you go on the Home tab. Over here to the right, you'll find Find. So click on the Find, and then just type in what we're looking for. Glen Ellen, boom. So now it found all the instances where it says Glen Ellen. Granted, it's got to be Glen Ellen in the document and not Glen Ellen in a GIF or in a picture. But here you found all of that. And let's say that for whatever reason, Glen Ellen voted to change the spelling of Glen Ellen. Or let's say you were working on a document and you wanted to replace everywhere it said Glen Ellen or Chicago with Indianapolis. Well, you can replace things as well very easily. So in this particular case, we're going to go up to Replace. We're going to find Glen Ellen, and we're going to replace it with Chicago. We're not going to go Find next. We're going to go Replace All. When we go Replace All, it'll show how many times, so all done. We made 2 replacements. So we click on OK. We get out of here. Now we're going to search on Chicago. You see, there they are. So these 2 instances where it used to be Glen Ellen, now we found them and we replaced them with Chicago. But we want to go back to where it was Glen Ellen. So again, you can either manually do it every time you found Chicago. You're going to replace it with Glen Ellen, or you could go do the undo. All done. We made 2 replacements. All right, so now we did find, replace. Let's get into the insert ribbon. So insert, you can do many things with insert. To get to the insert tab, you click on the insert tab, and then all the various commands that you find. Now the first one, it says insert a blank or a cover page. So if we're here and we say insert cover page, let's just see what this one looks like. Ion, light. So what this did is that even though we were in the middle of the document, it knew to automatically insert that cover page at the beginning of the document. The other thing that you can insert, we were talking about, you can insert a blank page. So now, but if I did the insert blank page here, what do you think is going to happen? Is it going to insert it at the beginning, or do you think it'll insert it here? I think it's going to insert it there. So it inserted it where you had your cursor. So you'll see now the cursor, right before where we put the cursor, a blank page was added. We're going to undo that. The other thing, insert page numbers. I already showed you how to do a page break, so that's a very handy one to have. Okay, inserting a table. So why would you want to insert a table? Well, there's different ways you can think about inserting a table. If I'm going to insert a table, you can insert a table, just a generic table that you can fill in, and it automatically sizes it. So as you'll see the cursor, I just have the first, and it shows it's a 1-by-1 table. I bring it over, you'll notice that when I did that, in the center of the page, a table appeared with the various rows and columns that I have highlighted in the Insert Table tab. So this would be useful if you want to just insert a table that you're manually going to put in data. Once you get more advanced, you have the ability to actually insert an Excel spreadsheet. So if you're working on an Excel spreadsheet and you want it as part of this document, you can click on Excel spreadsheet, and then it'll open up another little dialog box to say, okay, you also have the, let me just take a step back. You also have the ability to insert an Excel spreadsheet that you're working on. Now, the difference between inserting an Excel spreadsheet and a table is that when you do a table is just part of a Word document. It doesn't have any of the mathematical functions that inserting an Excel spreadsheet does. So what do I mean by that? When you insert the Excel spreadsheet, you can take advantage of the functions of Excel to do that, meaning that you can put in formulas that you would not be able to do in a standard Word table. And you can also manipulate these along those lines. We're going to go back to just inserting a regular table. So maybe you're working on a chart Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. If you're putting a schedule, for example, and you want that as part of the document. Say Bill's going to work on Monday, Beth is going to be Tuesday, Bill Wednesday, something along those lines. The one other thing I'll show you is that if you're working, if you did happen to put in an Excel spreadsheet, one of the cool things about Excel is that, let's say I started typing in Monday. Well, you can just click and drag on this bottom cursor here. Come on. And it automatically knows you're talking about days of the week. So it automatically populates the days of the week for you. That's a little added feature. That's not part of Word 101, but I just thought I'd toss that out to you. All right, the other thing that we're going to show you is how to insert pictures. Again, we're going to go up to Insert. We're going to go to Pictures. And if you go Pictures, then this is pictures from your computer or from your OneDrive or wherever you have your store of computers, store of pictures rather. Now, I'm not going to show you all the ones that I have, but what you have the ability to do is also to do an online picture. So let's see, Apple, so we got September. So let's say it's the beginning of school. My wife, Lucy Dallman, she's a teacher at Ben Franklin School. So let's do a school. Kind of looks like Ben Franklin a little bit. So you can insert a standard, you can insert a picture. Now, the great thing is about when you insert a picture, whether it's one of your own pictures or whether it's an online picture, you have the ability to manipulate that picture. So you'll see that this picture is surrounded by lines, and it has circles on the corners, the side, the top, and the bottom. By clicking and dragging any of the circles that are on the corners, you have the ability to adjust this picture to a size that you want it to be, to make it fit for whatever reason. You have the ability to squinch it down, make it look like it's a different one. You also have the ability to rotate it. Rotate it. It's not rotating for me. Oh, another good one, let's see, is it is not allowing me for whatever reason. Don't know why. So when I double click that, it brought up the shape format. So now you'll see on the upper right, you have the ability to rotate. So that's how you do it. Forgot where it was. I don't like that, so I'm going to go back to undo. And when you do some of these canned pictures from the internet, they generally have these type of words, and you can just delete them. Okay. I'm going to get rid of this. I'm just going to click in this area, click the delete button, and then it got rid of that. And similar with this text box that I created earlier, I'm going to highlight it and I'm just going to go delete. Shapes and charts. So again, the most things that you're probably going to do, if you want to do shapes and charts, you have the ability to insert shapes here, any number of shapes. Maybe you want to make a type of diagram. So you have this ability, and then once you put a shape in, similar to other things, you can adjust the shape fill and make it a different color. Shape outline and add some weight to it. Many different things you can do. Probably not going to be doing all that much in a Word 101, but in case you wanted to, there you have that ability. I'm going to get rid of that shape simply by doing the undo button. More importantly, if you're working on a document, you probably want to put maybe headers, footers, and page numbers. So let's show that. Now, one of the features that I like to show, so in case at the end of this, you forgot where I said where things were or how you do something. Well, you can always go into the Help tab and then just click on the Help. Then right here, you can click on Page Numbers. Insert page numbers. Results for inserting page numbers. So it'll show you how to do that. Insert the page number, choose the style and location, and then close the header and footer. And if you want to, you can also see a video how to do that. So there's a lot of, you don't just need me to teach you how to do this. You'll have the ability to look this up on your own. But again, getting back to page numbers, we're simply going to go to Insert. Page number, they're over here to the right, underneath the header and footer. I'm going to click on the page number. Let's put it at the bottom of the page. Several different styles you can do. Let's go accent bar. So now you'll see we've got a page. Page 2. If we go up here, we've got page 1. Remember we put on a cover page? It knows it's a cover page. So it does not put a page number on the cover page. Pretty clever. So you see all the way down, we've got the various page numbers. Going to get rid of the help so you can see better. Let's see, this is me talking, so we're going to slide this over here. Let's say you also want to put in footers on the document. So we're going to go into the header and footers. Over here on the left, I'm going to click on footers. Oh no, we'll just say Glen Ellen Public Library, Word 101. Now we're going to close the header and footers. So now you'll see on all these documents, it has Glen Ellen Public Library, Word 101. And again, it does not put it on the cover document. Similarly, you can do that with the headers if you want to put your headers in as well. You go up to Insert. When you click on Header and Footer, a new tab opened. So that's what we want the header to say as well. Glen Ellen Public Library, Word 101. We're going to close that. Then you'll see on all these documents, again, not on the cover page, but on all the subsequent pages, Glen Ellen Public Library, Word 101. And then we've got the footer as well. There we have the footer. There we have the header. Okay. I'm going to remove these so that it is a clean document. And I'm also going to remove the footers. And I'm just going to simply go down here. I went to Insert, the Header and Footer tab. I'm scrolling down to Remove Footers. So now they're gone. We showed how page numbers, text box. So sometimes if you're working with a, let's see, we got a comment. Would you be able to?
And yeah, I'll go ahead. Robert, if you put, I'm going to put my work email in the chat box. You email me, and then I will send you back a reply email with this document attached to it. So I'll put my email in the chat box. For anyone else who wants to do that as well, email me, and then I will reply to your email with this document attached to it.
Great, thank you, Beth. Appreciate that. So if you want to add a text box, so you might want to add a text box like in that case where we inserted the picture of the school. Let's just do that real quick. Oh, hold on. Oh, these are embedded. Got it. Okay, what we're going to do, we're going to insert a blank page. I'm going to insert an online picture. I'm going to get rid of this verbiage here. Reduce the size of that picture. I'm going to just put a text box down here. So you go up to the Insert tab, and on the far right, you have the ability to insert a text box. So I'm going to insert just a simple text box. You'll notice when the cursor, when it looks like that, a cross with 4 arrows, that means you have the ability to move that. I'm going to move it so it's underneath. Then I'm going to say, you know, maybe you're working on a family calendar or something along those lines. And then if you want, if this is a little too high, you don't need that space, You can manually manipulate. Then if you want to center it, you can just manually center it on that picture. Bingo. So now we've inserted a picture and we've inserted a text box and we put some dialogue in that text box. Let's see what we have next. All right, the page ribbon, layout ribbon. We already went through margins, orientations, size of the document, add columns, showed you how you could do that. Change the indentation. Oh, spacing. So that's probably spacing is probably a good one. Because sometimes you'll want to do something that's single space. Sometimes you'll want to do something that's double space. So I went into layout. I'm expanding. Indents and spacing. Hold on, I'm looking for something. See, even I've forgotten how to do this, so I'm going to go into the help. Because I'm going to like double spacing. Double line spacing. Select paragraph spacing, select the double option. So on the design tab, here we go, paragraph spacing. There's so many different features, even I forget. There we go. Okay, so now you can see by manipulating what the various spacings are, what they will look like. It applies to the entire document. If you want to do custom paragraph spacing, you can adjust them here. But I think for our purposes, we're just going to stick with design, tab, far right, paragraph spacing. You're typically going to apply that to your entire document. Once you find the one that you really like, then you have the ability to set it as your default. All right, let's go through some tips and tricks. Oh yeah, so highlighting allows you to change large sections of the document without deleting. So I think I was showing that at the beginning. I found it best when you're working on something, type it and then worry about the formatting after. As this shows, you can highlight all of this and then you can manually adjust the various fonts that you want to use, the various bold, italic, and underline, all those things. So highlight and then manually adjust how you want that to look. As I'd mentioned in the beginning, clicking and holding down activates the highlighting features. That's a very handy feature, the most common ones that are utilized predominantly from the Home tab. So we showed this, we demonstrated this. Yeah, this menu allows you to choose some of the most popular formatting options. And we had described that previously. And then when it comes to inserting and editing formatting pictures, we did this. We inserted online pictures. As I mentioned, pictures come from your hard drive or from your OneDrive or external storage devices. We used online pictures and we did shapes. Charts. So if you want to add a chart, typically when you want to have a chart, you want to have some documentation for it. I mean, you want to, like, I see a lot of charts in spreadsheets. So you might want to have a chart that you're working on and then insert it into it. But if you want to, wherever you want to put that chart, standard process, sorry. We're going to go up to wherever that cursor is. You want to insert. And you'll see when you do these illustrations, when you go into the insert feature, there's a lot of different things that you can play around with, whether it's 3D models. Maybe you're working on some medical degree. So you want to insert a skeleton. So you have the ability to insert this 3D model. Can be pretty cool. There's a lot of cool features that you can fool around with. Beth, is this class supposed to end at 8 or 8:30? Or just whenever?
You know, we used to have the class go from 7 to 8:30, but these have now been reduced from 7 to 8. So we are at 8 o'clock, a little bit after 8 o'clock. So just finish up as you can, and then we should be.
Then let me show a final feature, Linda. So again, if there's questions and I didn't address them, or if there's questions when you're working on it, you can always go up to help and type in the question that you have. Another way to do it. Now, so I'm going to stop sharing. Do you see my web browser right now, Beth? I take it as a no?
Sorry. No, we're still on the document.
All right, then I'm going to stop sharing because I want to show one final thing. And I want to show Linda. So by virtue of your library card, you have a vast number of resources at your fingertips. So go to the Glen Ellen library site, Glen Ellen Public Library. And underneath the digital library, all digital resources. And the one that was on that document is a Linda, is a learning application called Linda. Linda can be your best friend, can teach you so much. So I teach a lot of the Excel classes. So before Excel classes, I just want to make sure that I get up to speed on some things. Some people have asked me about Google Sheets, so I've gone in and I've prepped on this. I've gone into Word and I've prepped on that. So let's say you want to know more about Word. And let's say 2019 Essential Training. It brings up a tremendous And if you want to, so let's say this is great. This is if you're working on something and then you see this huge course and you're like, huh, I'm a little bit leery because all I really want to know is how to insert table. Well, here you can organize text tables, you can illustrate with images. So you can just quickly go to what you want to work on. And this is all pictures. Let's scroll down to our table. So then it'll take you to where he's actually working on that table. So I encourage you then, let's go back. So again, going to Lynda is a tremendous resource. From your Glen Ellen Public Library, you go underneath the digital resources. So if you have follow-up questions, you can answer a lot of them yourself. Thank you very much for attending class. I greatly appreciate that. We have classes generally about once a month or so, whether they're on Word, Excel, PowerPoint. We've been doing some LinkedIn classes as well. But thank you very much for attending. Greatly appreciate your time. Have a safe and enjoyable fall. Thank you, Beth.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks again. And we'll see you next time.